is Chinese chicken. But the point is that the Chinese chicken has to be velvetized. So when you go to a good Asian restaurant, Chinese restaurant, they have this wonderful sticky orange chicken. But one of the tricks that I have learned is to velvetize it. And Tracy has done that. Velvetize, actually marinating it about 15 minutes so that it tenderizes it. And here's what we have in the marinade. Tracy, you marinated it already, right?
Yes, it's right here. So the first thing you need to do is marinate the chicken. So I already cut the chicken into small little pieces. And now I am going to add a tablespoon of coconut aminos and 1.5 teaspoons of arrowroot powder. I'm going to sprinkle that across. And 1/2 teaspoon of Bob's Red Mill baking soda, the only one I use. Next is 1/8 teaspoon of white pepper and 2 tablespoons of avocado oil. All right. Now this needs to marinate for 15 minutes, but first we're going to shake and bake. This is the fun part. Okay. So I'm going to stick this in the refrigerator for 15 minutes.
In the marinating for velvetizing, you literally have to put the you slice the chicken really thin, so you don't want big chunks of chicken because you're going to stir fry it. So the velvetizing it really tenderizes the chicken, but it also gives it that nice little crust so that when you deep fry it, like in a wok, you get that crunchiness on the outside, but the tenderness on the inside, okay? Oil velvetizing really means in Chinese, and I have to read this so I don't say it wrong, it means flash frying in hot oil. And you usually only have to do it a couple of minutes. So when you're doing it at home, you use baking soda in it as well. And Tracy, I think you have all 3 things in there: the baking soda, did you use cornstarch or arrowroot, or what did you use for a thickener?
Arrowroot. Arrowroot,
Okay.
baking soda, soy sauce. No, I used aminos.
Yeah, well, it tastes like soy sauce, but it's made out of coconut. The reason that we marinate is because the baking soda, and a lot of people think baking soda, it's going to make it taste like baking soda. No, it doesn't. It's only a small amount, and it doesn't taste like it, but it tenderizes it, because chicken can be tough regardless. And you use chicken thighs, right? You cut up chicken thighs?
Chicken breast.
Hear about velveting, it just means marinating the Chinese way, and you use that baking soda. So tell us what you did, Tracy. You marinated it for about 15 minutes, right? Right before the show?
Yeah, so normally I like to marinate things longer than 15 minutes, but I did just as I was instructed, at least on this one thing.
Okay. So now, what pan are you going to put in the oil so that it gets nice and hot? Because you need to,
and I just put 2 tablespoons of coconut oil, right?
Perfect. Right. Now get it nice and hot. And remember, our rule on WoW Can Cook is that when it starts shimmering, when it starts bouncing, so once that oil is waving back at you, then you put in the chicken, because you only want to fry it like a couple of minutes until it's cooked. Arrowroot or the cornstarch, whatever you used. And you're going to put that in there so that it literally is fried quickly, because then we've got the sauce. You can take it out of there and then you can do the sauce. Have you put the sauce together yet?
No, that's what's right here. Okay, so I have a cup of fresh orange juice, a sugar replacement allulose blend with monk fruit. I don't know how much to use on that.
Monk fruit is a natural sweetener, but it's hard to give a recipe to say how much, because it's so sweet that I usually use a combination of some other kind of, like, sugar in the raw or something, and monk fruit, because then you can adjust it. If I say use a teaspoon of monk fruit, it may be so sweet you can't stand it. So she really can't give a measurement. You just have to make it so it's a nice sweet sauce for the sticky chicken, which is what we really want. And then you
Yes.
have, let's see, she's looking at her dancing oil there. And then you have rice vinegar, don't you?
2 tablespoons of rice vinegar, unsweetened, and
Right.
2 tablespoons of coconut aminos. Grate some ginger, 2 cloves of garlic, and I have arrowroot, a tablespoon.
You have to have something to thicken the orange sauce.
I
Because as
have
you put
it.
it in a
Arrowroot.
saucepan, okay, it'll thicken it. And so what you want is a nice thick sauce that's sticky enough that we can call it orange sticky chicken.
Let me just shake it
Yeah.
one more time, okay? I like this
Okay,
part.
Yes.
Do I throw this in the pot, in the pan now?
Yes, you can put it in the pan, but you should have another pan ready to start putting all the ingredients in the saucepan to cook the sauce so that it has time to thicken. Well, I'll tell you something funny. You were talking about her doing exercise with the chicken. I have a cast iron wok. I have a Chinese wok that is the tin, the metal, and then I have an electric one. And the electric one is worthless because it doesn't get hot enough like the Chinese one does. And the cast iron I love, but I can't lift it. The traditional Chinese that I actually brought from China is much better. It's that metal.
What do I do with the sauce?
You put all of the ingredients in there and put it on the stove so it starts thickening. So you want to make sure you have your
orange juice,
right,
a tablespoon of arrowroot, 2 tablespoons of aminos, 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar. And I'm just going to kind of wing it with this really quick because.
Is that the ginger?
Oh, I love ginger.
So when it comes to ginger and when it comes to the orange juice, some people like it more orangey, so it's fine. What I do when I want it really to be orangey is I use the orange juice, and then I use mandarin. You'll like that, Miss Host. I use mandarin oranges, and I put them in my little food processor just enough to break up the fiber, and then I add that in there. So the sauce has little bits of mandarin oranges, which is delicious.
Okay, so this is 2 cloves of garlic also going on the stove.
Okay, and there again, if you like it garlicky like I do, I sometimes use 3 or 4 cloves.
Okay, I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of this allulose. You think that's a good start?
No, I would start with 1. Try it and then use a whip so that you stir it. Otherwise, it's going to get lumpy on you because it has to be stirred quite a bit. You don't have to stir it constantly like making a gravy, but you do have to make sure it doesn't start clumping with the thickener. We do use a lot of slurries in our cooking shows. Yeah, it is easier, but we're trying to be the purist today. So as much as we can for Chinese New Year. How's your meat doing? Don't overcook it because it'll get tough. Is it fried? Is it ready?
Well, I have to cook it on both sides, and then do I simmer it in the sauce in addition?
Well, yes, you do. Yes, but take it out of the fat, out of the oil. Put it on a platter with maybe some paper towels, and take it out, and then you can get the excessive oil out. Then you can put it in with the sauce.
There's no excessive oil; it's all absorbing into the chicken.
Dump the sauce into the chicken because your pan is larger for the chicken. How's it doing, Tracy?
It's doing great. How long does it have to simmer in the sauce?
Not very long, as the chicken is cooked. Just enough, 5 minutes, just enough to give
pasta, right? I have to cook the pasta?
That's pasta.
What's the difference? This is long noodles.
No, it's not.
But I thought you wanted me to put it over pasta.
I do. Go ahead and use whatever you have, but Chinese noodles are not pasta because you can put it over rice. You can put it over quinoa if you're American. Chinese wouldn't put it over quinoa. But remember, when I lived in Ecuador, I went to several good Chinese restaurants. There's a lot of Chinese in South America, and they were actually putting it over quinoa because the Ecuadorians didn't know what the rice. Yeah, and they didn't know what the rice was, and they wanted what they're used to. So it was pretty funny to see it over quinoa. Yeah. So
well, you made me promise to buy real noodles instead of using one of my fake ones like the zoodles or the you know, something else.
Yeah, but
And
that
I
wouldn't have
did. I
been.
bought real noodles.
Yeah, that's good enough. But but for a true Chinese meal, you would need the Chinese flat. Okay, so can you taste the sauce and see if it's a sweetness you like? Because you should have
Okay.
tasted it because you only put in a little bit of the sweetener. So taste it and see if it's the consistency and the flavoring that you like as far as it should be like a sweet and sour. You've got the vinegar and you've got the sweetener. So it should be sweet, but just a little bit of a tang from the vinegar.
It's perfect. You know me, I don't like things really sweet. It's actually perfect. I really
Okay,
like
so
the
did it
nutmeg.
thicken? Is it getting sticky? I mean, is it thickening? Because it needs to be thick. I mean, it's not a runny sauce.
Yeah, it's thickening. It just has a little bit more ways to go, I'm sure.
If you put your finger on the spoon and it leaves a strip, then it's thick.
It's not ready.
No.
Okay.
Okay, so she's doing her noodles.
I'll finish the chicken.
It should be from start to finish about 30 minutes. That includes making the sauce, letting it thicken, and frying the chicken. That means turning the chicken on all sides so that it's nice and brown and crispy, and it'll be cooked because they should be small chunks, like bite-sized chunks, or it could be a little larger, but I like them bite-sized. I don't want to have to cut them. I like to be able to pick them up and eat the chunk all at once, not have to go through a bunch of maneuvers. But plenty.
Final product.
Yeah, is it aromatic? Is the sauce kind of a sweet and sour sticky? If not, you need to cook it more.
Now. Yeah, it's sticky and it's thick now.
Okay, good.
So I'll let you know how it tastes.
Now, did it stay tender, crispy on the outside and tender on the inside?
Yeah.
Did it?
It's good.
Very good. It'd be better if you had a walk. Well, then, good job.
Bye.
Enjoy. Bye-bye. Happy Chinese New Year.